What we often hear is that money is the main reason people get divorced. Is that true in your experience?
I don't think that's true at all. That's not true in my experience. I think money is a source of tension between people. It gives people something to fight over. I will actually say, now that I represent people primarily in the high net worth space, and even ultra high net worth space, like hundreds of millions of dollars, that the more money people have, the less incentive they have to be reasonable with each other, because the money doesn't really mean anything anymore. So if they spend $2 million in counsel fees, they don't really care. And if they got an extra million or two in the divorce, they don't really care. Because if you're getting $100 million, getting $102 million isn't going to change your quality of life that much. So I don't think money conflict is really like the precipitating factor of people's divorces.
So here's a broad question. Why do people get divorced?
Interesting.
I feel like this is like, what is a woman? Because they don't want to be married anymore. No, why do people get divorced? I think there's a lot of reasons why people get divorced. If I was going to take like a big answer for that.
I guess I'll narrow it down.
I would, yeah.
What do you think is the main, what we often hear is that money is the main reason people get divorced. Is that true in your experience?
I don't think that's true at all.
I don't think that's true either, because I know that maybe on papers that might look like what it is. Maybe on, like, if you're like looking for something to hold on to, that might look like it. But I don't think money is the number one reason why people get divorced.
That's not true in my experience. I think money is a source of tension between people. It gives people something to fight over. I will actually say, now that I represent people primarily in the high net worth space, and even ultra high net worth space, like hundreds of millions of dollars, that the more money people have, the less incentive they have to be reasonable with each other, because the money doesn't really mean anything anymore. So if they spend $2 million in counsel fees, they don't really care. And if they got an extra million or two in the divorce, they don't really care. Because if you're getting $100 million, getting $102 million isn't going to change your quality of life that much. So I don't think money conflict is really like the precipitating factor of people's divorces. More commonly, people say infidelity, cheating. And cheating is absolutely present in a majority of the cases that come into a divorce lawyer's office in some form, whether it's an emotional affair, whether it's a physical affair, whether it's a dalliance or like a long-term affair, like a full relationship. Those are very commonly present. But I think it's actually overly simplistic to say that was the cause of the divorce, because I think fundamentally marriages end because of disconnection. I think we fall in love very fast. Like, love is an emotion and love is a verb. It's an action. So like the emotion of love, you feel very quickly. You feel attraction, you like this person, everything they say is funny, they brush past you and it sends a tingle through you. Like, we've all been there. But that's not a real foundation to build something on, you know? And if it causes you to stop seeing this person clearly and talking about important things like shared values, shared upbringing, like what is our worldview and what was it put together by? And, you know, what are our thoughts about faith or what the goal of life is or the meaning of life is? We don't have some commonality towards that. So I think what really happens is we fall out of love the way we go bankrupt, which is very slowly and then all at once. And divorce is what happens when you get to the all at once. But to say that the infidelity was the cause, no. The disconnections back earlier, that's when you could have steered out of this thing by trying to figure out a way to either reconnect or better stay connected.
That's true. That's very true. I agree with him like 95% of the time. That's the problem. It's the disconnection that happens over time. It's the small things that you ignore. Because you tend to start seeing people where, because something has been happening over time, then something else happens, that becomes what broke the camel's back. That's where they say, okay, at this point, I can no longer do this. But it has been a disconnection that has been happening over time. It doesn't just fall immediately. It doesn't just stop. It's not just the infidelity. It's not just the finances or whatever. It's just a character flaw. It's just a habit that has been not well managed over time that led to this final point of divorce. And sometimes I will even extend it that the reason why people divorce is because they were never ready for the marriage in the first place. I will take it way back to then, because the truth is that when people prepare for marriage, when people do the right thing that they are supposed to do before they get into marriage, you will hardly see them getting divorced. Because they did the work. You know why people succeed as medical doctors, why people succeed as engineers, why people succeed as lawyers, why people succeed at so many things in life is because they went to school to practice. They went to school for 4 years. They went to practice. They had to take exams. They did practicals. They did licensures and stuff like that. They prepared so much for that final stage of practice of actually doing those procedures on people or representing people in the courts or doing any engineering work at all, because they're prepared. And now they are good in what they're doing. But we see people who meet on Friday and they get married on Sunday. People just meet, you know nothing about the person, you have not prepared for marriage, you have not done any work, you have not read any book, you have not watched any video, or you have been consuming hot takes on social media. You have not actually sat down to study what it takes to have a successful marriage. And then you allow yourself go into that marriage with that person, and then you want it to magically work. It will not work. There's nothing that will make it work, except you start doing the work that you need to do to get you to that point where you start enjoying marriage and stay married. So I would even extend it. I guess he said disconnection. I would even extend it backward to unpreparedness for marriage. That's why people get divorced, because there's a lot of conversations. Even this morning we're talking about, even this infidelity we're talking about, there's a lot of conversation that should be happening before you decide to get married to somebody. But people today think about wedding. Oh, I want the best wedding. I want the best days. I want the best dress. It's all about the vain things that don't even matter that much. Yes, weddings are good. Engagements are good. Engagement rings are beautiful. You want the most expensive engagement ring. You want all this. But at the same time, you are not doing the work that prepares you for the actual thing, the marriage itself. And then when you finally find yourself in the marriage itself, you discover that, wow, I was not ready for this. That's why people get divorced.
So you think that the infidelity is what happens during the free fall, during the all at once?
It's done by then, I think. It's done by then. I'm not saying, I've seen a lot of people come back from affairs. That's not something people like to talk about publicly, because in the sort of, again, current climate, current zeitgeist, like it's not cool to like forgive your spouse for an affair. But a lot of couples do work through things like that. They say, yeah, I did something really stupid and I shouldn't have, and I got distracted. I lost the plot of the story we're writing together, and I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Like, we shouldn't disconnect. Like, we should figure out a way to work through this together for the benefit of our children and for the benefit of each other, And people move on. They go to counseling, or they work with a rabbi or a priest or whoever they're going to work with to like reconnect in real ways. But it's very easy. Like, wouldn't it be great if there's just one thing you could blame everything on? So that's what happens sometimes, is he has an affair, she has an affair. And then that becomes, well, we got divorced because he had an affair. It's like, your marriage had so many problems with it. Like, his affair was one of them, but it showed up way after some of these other things.
Let me say this. In most cases, people actually still get married to people who cheated on them. So if somebody cheated on you when you were still dating, what makes you think that they wouldn't cheat on you again when you get married? Like, if they have cheated on you multiple times, not even the ones that cheat maybe once and then they regret it and then they make a change. Because I probably give grace to people, because, there's always an exception. They might do it once and they never do it again. But the ones who have done it multiple times, they cheated on you multiple times, and you forgave, and then you think, oh, maybe when we finally get married, they will not do it again. What makes you think that will be the case? Because if you actually do the work, if they're lying to you before marriage, if they're cheating on you before marriage, if they're doing all those things before marriage, what makes you think it will change in marriage? No, people only evolve more in marriage. Marriage really reveal things. Marriage don't really change people. It just shows what has always been there and just magnifies it, because now you are very close. You're in close proximity, so you get to see everything. That's the truth.
In your experience, is it men or women that are more likely to have an affair, or is it?
That's changed a lot in recent years. I've been doing this 25 years, so I've seen a lot of trends in that time. It used to be mostly men having affairs that were the sort of, the precipitating factor of the marriage ending. But I would say in the last 5-10 years, a lot more women having affairs, a lot more.
Do they have affairs differently? Is it a different sort of thing?
I've been asked that before. I don't really know that I could say that it's that different. I think all affairs are kind of equally ridiculous. When you see them as a divorce lawyer, you see them differently. Like, we have like the text messages that got revealed, and when you read this stuff, you just kind of look like we're so ridiculous. Like, as a species, we're just so silly. Like, we think we're being sexy, or and it's just preposterous when you read this stuff. But I think women tend to, in my experience, in my office, the affair is like, okay, I found a soft place to land. Like, I'm leaving and I've got the next one lined up. Whereas men, a lot of times it's just they're being idiots. They're not thinking clearly. They're just, it's more sexual in nature. It's less about I've had a lot of, because I represent people who've been cheated on, and I represent people who've done the cheating. Like, I represent perpetrators of domestic violence. I represent victims of domestic violence. Like, I represent my client. And you very often don't know what's really going on until you've already been retained, and then you're in. You're in this case. So you're kind of stuck with your client. And I will say that, I've had a lot of clients that, you spend time with these people and you kind of get it. Like, I've had clients who come in and say, yeah, like I had this affair and she found out about it, usually because of the iPad. Like the iMessage thing, the kids have an iPad and then you have your iPhone and you didn't realize your iMessage is hooked to your iPad and now the kid starts seeing text messages from the secret girlfriend, like very common. I feel like Apple was probably responsible for more divorces than they realized. Facebook too, Instagram, Meta. There's really big tech companies have not been great for marriage. But
So these are not evil geniuses having these affairs, apparently, that they
no,
don't realize.
they're just people. They're just people. They're just flawed people. But I tell you, I've had a lot of clients in my office who, particularly men, who had affairs. And they're like legitimately heartbroken. I mean, they're sitting across from me saying like, this had nothing to do with my wife. Like, and they don't realize how crazy that sounds, Like I do, because I'm gonna have to argue to a judge, so I'm very mindful of how something sounds. But you'll say, what do you mean it had nothing to do with your wife? And they're like, I wasn't even thinking about my wife. Like, and I go, well, that's the problem.
What do you mean by you were not thinking about your wife? That's the person you should be thinking about. Like, was your brain disconnected? See, I don't even think that there's any cheating that happens all of a sudden. Like, people don't just walk and then they see a woman or see a man and then they end up in bed. No, half, 90%, even 90, even 95, even 99% of cheating probably were meditated. Like it was planned. It happened over time. There was a pursuit. There was all those things that happen, and then so it's not like you don't know. You knew what you were doing. It was probably not because of your wife. It's just you being irresponsible and you lacking self-control. But even if it wasn't because of your wife, does he change anything? It doesn't change anything. You did what you did. So own up to what you did.
But they really are sincere when they say, but I really love my wife. I love the family we have together. I love the history we have. I love our children. I love her parents. But we don't have that connection anymore that we had, like a romantic or sexual connection. And, again, I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not a therapist, but like sex is the glue. I mean, what's the difference between a roommate and a spouse? Like you have a romantic and sexual connection to this person. And if that's gone completely out of the marriage, or it used to be 90% of your relationship and now it's 1%, like that's not healthy. That's not a good idea. Like it's not necessarily a human, a human needs not being met there. So I'm not saying the answer is go have an affair. I don't think that's the answer at all. I can tell you from ringside seats, that's actually the worst way to approach that. But acknowledging it's a problem, I think would be a good start.
See, if you want to have a good sex life, if you want to have a good relationship, if you want to enjoy your marriage, you have to learn how to actually have conversations in your marriage. When some things are going wrong, when you're not enjoying yourself, when things are not the way you want it to be, the whole point of being together with somebody is to converse, talk about things. How am I feeling? This is what I'm feeling. This is how I feel about this and that and that. How do you feel? Because sometimes when people talk, they come in with an agenda. They come in, I want to be understood. But they never try to understand the other person. Because yes, I understand that some cases you might want sexual interaction or spicy sleep with your partner, but then they're not in the mood or something is going on and you just take an offense to it and you're like, oh, you don't want to do this with me, da, 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 da. But the truth is that you have not actually tried to understand where they are coming from. What has led them to that point where they don't feel that way? You have to seek to find. You have to ask questions, converse, and see if there's something that is throwing off their hormones, if there's something that is throwing off their urge for it, and try to see if there's a way you can help them. Try to see if it has to do with you or if it's just them, because that's the whole point of talking with your partner, so that you don't get to step out of your marriage. Because yes, you probably have those desires, you want to get it satisfied. We understand that. But at the same time, there's a way to do it right, and it requires two people who are willing to do this. That's why I really encourage people, when you want to go into marriage with somebody who approaches life the way you approach it, somebody who thinks largely the way you think, somebody who wants to talk, somebody who wants to make it work. Because the truth is that so many people end up with people who are not willing to adjust, people who are not willing to change, people who are not willing to make it work, people who just want to have their way. And when they're not trying to have this conversation, because I know that somebody will be like, well, I tried to talk to her, I tried to talk to him, I tried to do this, I tried to do that, but they're not responding. What do I do? Then I went and did it. But the truth is that you got married to somebody who wasn't willing to do that in the first place. So it all boils down to, what questions are you asking right now that you are still dating this man or this woman? Are they people that you can actually have conversations with right now? Are they people that avoid conversations? Are they people that ignore things? Are they people that run away when there's problem? Are they people that hold grudges? Are they people that keep silent treatments when they are angry, when there's disagreement? Whoever they are right now is who they will be in future. And the interesting thing about marriage and relationship is this: whatever you're experiencing right now with these people, it's not going to change later on. So if they're not talking to you right now, they won't talk to you later. They wouldn't just change overnight and start talking to you because, oh, you demanded it. And also another interesting thing is that commitment that comes with dating and the commitment that comes with marriage are a little bit different, because if things doesn't work right now in dating, you can actually just break up and go your separate way. If things doesn't work in marriage, breakup is, or divorce is not always the first thing you go to. You try to solve it, because now your life is glued together. If you have kids already, that's even another thing that makes it even more difficult. If your finances are combined, if your lives are combined, now you have more things at risk at this point. But when it's just dating, that level of commitment is not yet there. So you can ignore some things. But here's the thing: when you get married, those things can no longer be ignored, because now it's affecting you very well. Like every inch of thing your spouse does will affect you very well. So you have to be careful that whoever you are getting involved with right now, that the things that matter to you, the things that make marriages and relationship work, they are subscribing to it. They want to do it. They want to have the conversation. They want to go for that counseling, for that premarital counseling, to talk to them, to improve your relationship, improve your love life. They are willing to work on the marriage, because the truth is that life happens to every one of us in different ways. Things will change in marriage. Seasons will come, and it would need and require two people who like each other so much to actually go into every season that life throws at them in their marriage and make it work. It would take two people who are willing to do the work to get it to work. And I hope this blesses you, and I hope you're learning from this. And if you are learning from this, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button so that you'll be notified the next time I upload a new video. And don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below. What did you learn from this video today? Is there anything that has challenged your mindset? Are you afraid, or do you have hope in marriage? Just tell me about what you think, and I will encourage you to do well, to watch out for the next video, because it's going to be even more interesting. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Bye.